Joining us live is the Shadow Immigration Minister Dan Tehan. Dan, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. So the No Case for a Voice is to be launched today. It is, from the looks of it, a Conservative team. Will you be getting behind it?
Look, obviously, Pete, they want to put a case as to why people should vote no. The tragedy is, if Anthony Albanese as Prime Minister had reached across the aisle and shown true bipartisanship, then we wouldn't be in this situation. What they're putting forward is a model which means that we don't run the risk of the High Court being able to encroach on how we govern this nation through the Constitution. What they are putting forward means that we won't have a great bureaucracy which is dictating what will happen on Indigenous issues in local and regional areas, and won't focus on local and regional voices or national voices. It will be about making sure that there's representation right across the board. And what they will do also is make sure that there is a case put as to why there are worries and concerns about the approach that Anthony Albanese is taking. And if he had have reached across the aisle, sat down with Peter Dutton, we wouldn't have been in this situation that we are, that we already have a no case out there, putting arguments which really are about the lack of detail that we've seen from Anthony Albanese.
So with that said, do you support the No campaign?
Well, we obviously, as a party, are yet to make a formal decision, but where this is heading undoubtedly is that we are going to have a debate around this. It's going to be a debate where concerns and issues are put forward, where there is going to be a call around the detail, where there is going to be people wanting to know that the voice will be non-justiciable, or it won't have legal encroachment, that it won't set up some great big new bureaucracy, and that there will be a focus on making sure that local voices are heard, not just a national voice from Canberra dictating what will happen. So, look, if Anthony Albanese wants to do the right thing, he should sit down with Peter Dutton, look at the letter that Peter Dutton sent him, address all the questions that were asked. That would be a great start, because we are here where we're at because of that failure of bipartisanship by Anthony Albanese.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the editorial today from Jacinta Price, and it's interesting, and I just put this to Tony Burke as well. They argue that that whoever represents the voice in Parliament, they'll be seeking holdouts in exchange for favours in much the same way that independent senators do. Is that a concern that you have?
Well, I mean, it is a concern because none of these issues have been addressed. Anthony Albanese hasn't said how he will prevent that from happening. Now, if the voice is set up and that does happen, I don't think that's what Australians view the voice as. But the trouble is, without that detail, none of us know whether that will happen or not. And we're definitely not having the Prime Minister coming out and saying, well, no, that won't happen because we'll be doing this. No, that won't happen because we'll be doing that. He's basically saying, trust me. And that is a big thing to do when it comes to changing the Australian Constitution, which is the foundation stone on which we are governed.
OK. Jim Chalmers has outlined a vision of what shape he believes capitalism should take in this country. What are your thoughts on what you've read so far?
Well, what he's advocating for is bigger government, more taxes, more public servants, and I think most concerning of all to small business, what we will see is more regulation, more red tape. I think it's a recipe for regulation and red tape, for government and public servants dictating how you will run your small business, not leaving it up to you to do what you can do best, and that's to generate jobs in this country. So I think at the start of this year, what we're seeing already is we're going to see a lot more of the Albanese Labor government in your business.
Right.
And I don't think that's going to be a good thing for this country.
What if free markets are failing, though? Could that not need some government assistance?
Look, there are instances where obviously you do need government intervention. But what Jim Chalmers is saying is that right across the board, you're going to get more red tape, more regulation, more taxes, and public servants telling you how to run your business, not leaving it up to you. Now, that won't work. We've been here before under Whitlam in this country. It didn't work. It won't work now. But at least Jim Chalmers and Anthony Albanese are now being honest about how they're going to run the government. Before the election, they said, oh, no, very minimal changes, very much business as usual. Now we're seeing them start to set out their manifesto, which is all about more government in your face.
Right.
And we all know that won't work.
Just a final one here, though. He makes the point that super funds could be investing more in social programs such as housing, disability support, aged care. Does he not have a point there?
Well, super funds should be making sure that their number one priority is getting a return for all those members who are investing their money with them, not going on some whim that the government wants fixed and fixed in a way which usually means that it won't lead to the proper outcomes that you need. You look at what happened with Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand and her push to fix the housing crisis over there. It didn't work. It was an abject failure. What Jim Chalmers needs to be making sure is he's focusing on that super can get the returns that they need for their members, but encouraging investment, whether it be from super funds or the private sector, into housing to make sure that we can alleviate the housing concerns. But Jim Chalmers just saying that government will solve every problem and that government and regulation and red tape are going to dictate what you do in your business will not work.